Good morning. Today we are discussing Diltiazem, a foundational agent in our cardiovascular toolkit that occupies a unique middle ground between the dihydropyridine calcium channel blockers like amlodipine and the more cardiospecific phenylalkylamines like verapamil. As a benzothiazepine, Diltiazem offers a balanced profile of systemic vasodilation and direct inhibitory effects on the cardiac conduction system. Understanding the pharmacodynamics of Diltiazem is essential for its safe application. By binding to the L-type calcium channels, it limits the entry of calcium into the cells. In the vascular smooth muscle, this leads to relaxation and decreased systemic vascular resistance, which helps manage hypertension and reduces myocardial oxygen demand. However, its most critical clinical utility often lies in the myocardium and the sinoatrial and atrioventricular nodes. By slowing the conduction through the atrioventricular node, Diltiazem serves as a potent agent for rate control in supraventricular tachyarrhythmias. In the acute care setting, we frequently reach for intravenous Diltiazem when managing atrial fibrillation with rapid ventricular response. The goal here is not necessarily rhythm conversion, but rather protecting the ventricles from the hemodynamic instability caused by excessive heart rates. For the average adult, we initiate treatment with a weight-based bolus of 0.25 milligrams per kilogram. It is a common clinical pitfall to use a flat dose for everyone, but weight-based dosing ensures efficacy while minimizing the risk of precipitous hypotension. Beyond the emergency department, Diltiazem is a mainstay for the management of chronic stable angina and particularly vasospastic or Prinzmetal's angina. By dilating the coronary arteries, it improves myocardial oxygen delivery. For chronic management, we almost exclusively use extended-release formulations to provide stable plasma concentrations and improve patient adherence. We must be vigilant regarding the contraindications of Diltiazem. Because it slows atrioventricular conduction, it is strictly contraindicated in patients with second- or third-degree heart block or sick sinus syndrome, unless a permanent pacemaker is in place. Administering Diltiazem in these scenarios can lead to complete heart block or asystole. Furthermore, we must exercise extreme caution in patients with heart failure with reduced ejection fraction. While Diltiazem is not as strongly negatively inotropic as verapamil, it can still precipitate acute decompensation in a failing heart. Another never event for Diltiazem is its use in patients with Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome who present with atrial fibrillation. Blocking the atrioventricular node in these patients can force conduction down the accessory pathway, potentially leading to ventricular fibrillation and cardiac arrest. Transitioning a patient from intravenous to oral Diltiazem requires a calculated approach. Generally, the total daily oral dose is approximately equal to the total dose delivered via infusion over 24 hours. For example, a patient stable on a 10 mg per hour infusion, which totals 240 milligrams a day, would typically be transitioned to an equivalent dose of an extended-release oral formulation. It is also important for clinicians to recognize that not all Diltiazem extended-release products are equal. The delivery technologies vary between once-daily and twice-daily capsules. When prescribing, specify the exact brand or delivery format to ensure the pharmacist provides the version that matches your intended dosing frequency. A significant area of concern and ongoing discussion involves the drug-drug interaction profile of Diltiazem. It is a moderate to potent inhibitor of the cytochrome P453A4 enzyme system. This is the same pathway used by many common medications, including several statins and the novel oral anticoagulants. When we start a patient on Diltiazem, we often must preemptively lower their dose of simvastatin or atorvastatin to avoid the risk of rhabdomyolysis. There is also the beta blocker controversy. While combining Diltiazem with a beta blocker can be highly effective for refractory rate control, it significantly increases the risk of severe bradycardia and high-grade heart block. This combination should be only used under close supervision, usually in an inpatient setting, and is generally avoided in the elderly population where the conduction system may already be compromised. Finally, in the realm of modern cardiology, there is an ongoing debate regarding the use of calcium channel blockers versus beta blockers as first-line therapy for rate control. While beta blockers are often preferred in patients with concomitant coronary artery disease or heart failure, diltiazem remains a superior choice for patients with reactive airway diseases like asthma or chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, where beta blockers might trigger bronchospasm. In summary, diltiazem is a versatile and effective agent, but its power over cardiac conduction demands respect and careful patient selection. Thank you for your attention. Please let me know if you have any questions.